What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on METS Central. And after an hour and a half rain delay, or whatever it ended up being, close to an hour and a half, we finally got the ball game, and the Mets end up winning with a late rally. Mark Vientos finally having a big moment during the season that we have been waiting for desperately, because we have not got this type of moment from him. And to do it against Carlos Estevez was beautiful to see as well, considering I think we all remember what happened last year. But just great to see them rally back late. I still want to see this team actually hit off of starting pitchers, especially Michael Waka, who has had a decent year, but again, nothing too special. And that's just a pitcher that when you have this type of lineup, you should be beating up on either way. I don't want to sit here and be all doom and gloom, because it was great to see them come back late. It was great to see Mark Vientos get a big hit, but I want to see them hit off these starting pitchers, because let's be honest with ourselves too. I'm going to get into the positives, relax before people get all pissed off, but it's just not sustainable to have to rally behind in all these games. I mean, we saw it last year when they got later into the playoffs. Now I'll talk about the positives. And again, that is them rallying to begin with off of a Royals bullpen that is good. So if you want a positive to take away there, the Royals bullpen is one of the better ones in baseball. So it was good to see them actually be able to hit off of some good pitching there. So let's talk about it, though. Before we do, leave a like on your way into the post-game show, or if you're watching on replay, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. It felt like it was going to just be one of those games where, once again, they're going to not produce offensively. A bullpen blip is going to cost them, and they're going to lose by similar to what we saw in Baltimore, 3-1. I thought that it was actually playing out the exact same script. If the only difference was you had Braziban stinking it up in the seventh inning versus Stanek, who stunk it up in the eighth inning of that game. But it felt like that's the trend that it was going in. And in the bottom of the second inning, Kodai Senga had a little bit of trouble that he got into, not finding the zone on pretty much every single pitch he threw between Rave and Isbell, but he ends up getting a nice ground out there, and Mauricio just makes a really good play there, which got them out of it. The Mets get on the board in the third inning first. Torrens had a single, a sac bunt from Taylor moves him over. Brandon Nimmo walks, Lindor with a single, so you get the bases loaded. You have Juan Soto strikeouts. Pete Alonso walks to make it a 1-0 game, so good to see the Mets get on the board first there, but Mark Vientos strikes out, breaks his bat after, as it was 3 pitches and uncompetitive at bat. So much so that prompted me to put out a tweet, he's got to go, and that I'm tired of watching him. I'll say this, he definitely made me eat my words there, and I'm very happy about it. He's got to build on it, of course, because it doesn't erase the fact that he has been not great outside of what he did tonight, but a step in the right direction. And especially considering what we did see in Baltimore, that is something that does encourage me in the first game of that doubleheader, is what I mean, by the way. But either way, in the bottom of the third inning, again, Senga got into a bit of trouble, allowed some singles to Pasquantino, and Perez works out of it. And the Mets offense pretty much did absolutely nothing going forward throughout this game. Carrillo came into the game, and he ended up looking really good, to be honest with you. I don't fault him at all for the run that he gave up, because that should have been, at the very worst, a single. But Brandon Nimmo, I don't understand why he's out there trying to make a diving grab instead of letting it land in front of him and playing the ball on the bounce there, or let it roll to him, or maybe just try to catch it without diving. But very awkward play there from Brandon Nimmo, and it resulted in a run there to tie the game up at 1. But I really like what I'm seeing from him. And yeah, Carrillo, that is. And maybe he could be a mainstay going forward. We'll see. For all we know, he's sent down tomorrow. I don't know what this bullpen's going to look like anymore from a game-to-game basis. Your guess is as good as mine. That's all I could say there. But in the seventh inning, like I said, it felt like it was just a carbon copy and paste of that game in Baltimore where they lost 3-1. Brosbon comes in, allows a single, and you have Tolbert come in the pinch run, and just a beautiful play by Jeff McNeil there. Hayden Sender on the money with the throw, and beautiful for Jeff McNeil to keep the tag on him the entire way through. They end up reviewing it because he was called safe initially. They overturn the call because there was just a second of him being off the bag, and they end up getting away with one there. And you thought, okay, don't let this inning melt down with the top of the order coming through. And it melted as Jonathan India gets a single, and Huascar Brazoban leaving a fastball down the middle to Bobby Witt Jr. is certainly a choice that I wouldn't make. Certainly a choice that shouldn't have been made. I'm assuming that he didn't intend to, because I think, someone in first grade could tell you that. I actually, a newborn could tell you, to be honest with you, that you shouldn't be going middle to Bobby Witt Jr. And that's what happened. Made it a 3-1 game. Pasquantino got a double. He works out of it. And then the eighth inning, Brandon Nimmo gets the Mets' first hit since, I believe, the third inning to that point. Yeah, the third inning, because they had 2 hits the entire way through until that point. Then you get back-to-back walks from Lindor and Soto. Alonso strikes out. He breaks his bat, as that was similar to the Vientos at bat, where he's swinging at 3 pitches on Estevez. And then Mark Vientos with a huge base-clearing double there to give the Mets a 4-3 lead. Again, he needed that so badly. I am begging this to get him on the right track. Will it? Time will tell. I don't know. But I am just begging for it to be what gets him going. But he needed that, and the Mets obviously needed that. And they end up just exploding more in the ninth inning, as Taylor had a double, Nimmo walked, Lindor hits a home run to make it a 7-3 game. Soto goes back-to-back to make it 8-3. And they didn't have to use Edwin Diaz, thankfully. Chris Davinsky comes in and ends up finishing up the game. And thankfully, Mendoza had Davinsky ready to go this time and learned his lesson from the Zach Pop thing from that Subway Series game, which is what really annoyed me. So I was very happy to see that. Very happy to see a game as well where I don't have any issues with the manager. I won't lie, during the game, I wanted to maybe try to give Senga the 5th inning. I get why they didn't, though, because the top of the order was coming up. He's first coming back. So at least I understand the logic behind it. So it's not something, even if it backfired, I would have ridiculed Mendoza for, because it makes sense. Again, he's first coming back. But in the moment, I won't lie, I did want Kodai Senga to go out there, at least try to maybe give a 5th inning. Circumstances are circumstances, though. So outside of that, I gotta say, well-managed game by Mendoza, and it's something, and the reason I'm saying that is because I've been very harsh on him. I'll admit that I've been maybe too harsh on him at points, and I don't know if you guys agree, disagree. Some of you might think I've been too harsh. Some of you might think otherwise. But either way, I've been very critical, so I gotta give him his flowers when I think he does right, and tonight he did a very solid job managing the game. I don't fault him for Brazoban having the inning he did, because Brazoban's been money for you for the most part. Yeah, I don't blame him really for. And then Carrillo too. I didn't want him going out there for a second inning. It worked out, but I also understood the thought process there, where it's like you want to ideally save some of these arms a little bit. So another one where I wasn't too mad about it either way. But yeah, and Reed Garrett looked good, by the way, too. That's something that always you got to keep of note. So this offense needs to show up earlier in the games. Can't be so bipolar and sporadic like we've talked about all season long, where there's 1 or 2 innings they show up and the rest of the game it's radio silent. So it's still something that needs to change. It's something that needs to be addressed. But for right now, it was good to see them grab the win tonight. Especially because you really should have won that series against Baltimore. You really should have. And to win a game where it felt like at points they maybe didn't deserve to win this game, it was good to see them steal one here. And now they move back to half a game back in the division as well, which you also like to see. As the Phillies, yeah, the Phillies have a game in hand on them for that one. So they play San Diego. They might be playing right now, actually, as I'm doing this. So that might change things. Unless they already played. They did and they lost. So never mind. That was just that. So standings are up to date. All right. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat right now before I end things here. And before I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, before I end things here and head out for the night, because it's very late at night already. Gotta love how you have a game that was supposed to be an 8 o'clock game, which I was like, oh, great. At least, I was happy about the 8 o'clock start. I'm like, this is perfect. It's a little bit later, gives me more time to enjoy my night. And then, it's not too late to where I'm doing the post game at almost 1 in the morning. Yet here we are, unfortunately. It was basically a carbon copy of the first game yesterday until the 8th inning. Combination of that game and a combination of the game where they rallied against Baltimore. You got a little bit of both those games there. Haven't had a stress-free game in a while. I can't remember the last one, to be honest with you. I don't know if I don't think you're insinuating that this was stress-free. But yeah, unfortunately, this was far from it yet again. The last stress-free game, maybe you could say the second game of the doubleheader versus Milwaukee, if you want to be generous with that one. Outside of that, probably the 11-4 win against Philly. Maybe, and even then there was stressful moments. Yeah, probably more the last 2 games of the Rocky series. Nemo's got to have better awareness in that situation. I know it's a split-second reaction, and you want to make it that nice play. However, you need to know who's on base. Salvi was not going to score there. Yes, very true. He honestly would have had a better chance of letting that land and potentially gunning out Salvi at second or third, depending where he was going at that point, by the time he would have made that play. And yeah, I did tweet it. I'm not going to take it down. Good for him for shutting me up tonight. He's got a lot more to prove still, unfortunately. Sucks that that's where we're at, but it's where we're at. Where I gotta see Vientos prove it more and more. It sucks a lot because I like Vientos too. But he's in a you gotta win me over phase right now. But I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one.